And we're continuing with the second chapter of the Treasure of Alpheus Winterborn by John Bellairs. Anthony and his mother have kind of had a fight about his new job, but his brother has definitely got his back, and his mom's back too. Anthony really enjoys his job working with Miss Eels at the library, and there's a lot of library to explore because it is actually 2 times as large as the library needs to be. Weeks and months passed. June came and school let out. Miss Eels asked Anthony if he wanted to keep working at the library during the summer. He said sure. He was even willing to work longer hours than before. Most of his friends had summer jobs, and Anthony really liked being at the library more than he liked being at home. If he sat around at home doing nothing, his mother found something for him to do, or else she made him feel so guilty that it wasn't any fun sitting around. And of course, he liked the money he was being paid. Every Friday, he got a little brown envelope with his wages in it. He spent some of the money on movies and popcorn and comic books and things of that sort. The rest he put in the bank. One day, Anthony went down to the First National Bank of Hoosac with his father and proudly opened his own personal savings account. It made him feel good to have a savings account like the one his parents had. He felt that somehow he was contributing more to the family than he had been before. The bank book made him feel that he was really worth something. The rest of June passed, and July began, with a heat wave. The temperature rose to 100 and stayed there. Everything was sticky or hot to touch. The pavement burned under the soles of your feet as you walked along, and it took great effort just to move. On one of these broiling hot days, a Wednesday it was, Anthony was in the West reading room, changing the magazines in the magazine rack. All the windows were open, and the curtains on the long windows hung limp. In a corner, a girl in shorts was reading a copy of 17, and an old lady was browsing along one shelf. A fly buzzed past Anthony and sailed up toward the ceiling. As Anthony followed it with his eye, he happened to glance at the carvings over the fireplace. He had noticed them before because they were so strange looking. There was a wide, square panel covered with the 3-dimensional carved objects that stood far out from the wall. There were oranges and lemons, and sheaves of grain, and bunches of grapes, and clambering monkeys, and here and there odd little faces peeping out through the carved shrubbery. On top of the panel was a pointed cornice. On the point was a half moon, just like the stone half moon and banner over the front door. On the banner was the same motto, "Believe only half of what you read." As Anthony stood looking up at the wilderness of carved wood, it occurred to him that the panel needed dusting. Big cobwebs festooned with monkeys and grapes and grain, and gray dust lay thick on the crevices. Anthony suddenly felt like giving that panel a good hard dusting. It was a hot day and his clothes were soaked with sweat, but he didn't care. He felt energetic, and besides, it would be a nice thing to do for Mrs. Eels. Down to the basement he went. He got out the stepladder and the feather duster from the broom closet. Back upstairs, he set up the shaky ladder in front of the fireplace. With the duster in his hand, he climbed to the top and then stepped off onto the marble mantel. He started to dust, whisking the feather broom back and forth over the carvings. It was a tall panel, and in order to reach the top, he had to stand on tiptoe. Whisk, whisk. Cobwebs flew in all directions. If only he could reach the top of the silly half moon and knock off the cobweb that was trailing from one of its horns. Anthony lunged with the duster, and then something happened. There was a sharp crack, like a pistol shot. The half moon flew off the cornice, whizzed across the room, and landed in a corner. Anthony's face turned red. He didn't dare look at the people who were in the library. Slowly, carefully, he set the duster down on the mantel and clambered down from his perch. With his head down, he walked quickly across the floor and knelt to pick up the ornament. To his very great surprise, he saw that it had broken in two. One moon face lay staring up, and the other lay propped against a chair leg. Inside the piece that was standing up, Anthony could see something glittering. It looked like a gold coin, and between the 2 pieces of wood on the floor lay a tightly rolled piece of paper. And that's the end of chapter 2.